Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jazz Museum in Harlem. My name is Loren Schoenberg. I'm the executive director, and we really don't need the mic that much, but I want to let you know that we videotape and record all of these series that we do. And they become part of the permanent archive of the Jazz Museum in Harlem, and I'm sure at some point they're going to wind up in the Smithsonian, the Library of Congress, and all the other major institutions. So hence the microphone, which I really don't need at this moment. When you look, first of all, I'd like to welcome you all here. We see a lovely mixture, and what I see are about, I'd say, 50% of people who, well, I'd say about 25% regulars who we see all the time. I'd say about 25% we see sometimes. And I'd say tonight there's a whole bunch of new folks, so we'd like to welcome you all very much for coming to our series. My name is Loren Schoenberg. As I mentioned, I'm the executive director. My co-director of the museum is the great bassist, Christian McBride. And the other member of the trio that runs this place is Wilhelmina Grant, who most of you probably know. There's Wilhelmina over there. And you are catching us really on the cusp of an explosion, and a good explosion. Starting next week, we're starting our Jazz for Curious Listeners course up here. And I can tell you that we already have, 80 plus people registered, and I think, and we've got 5 more today. And if we keep going at that rate, well, we'll have 85. No, I'm kidding. We'll have, 5 more each day as we get towards the thing. We're starting free concerts, alternating with these Thursday evening Harlem Speak, starting in October. One Thursday night will be here. Another Thursday night will be just 2 blocks down. I don't know how many of you came to our Ella Fitzgerald, should be back in May. But we're going to be at the Nubian Heritage, the wonderful, very hip, comfortable bookshop at the corner of 126. It's a bookshop and more. They have a spa upstairs and all kinds of coffee and books and stuff. So 126th and 5th. So we're going to be here one Thursday and there. And to kick off the series for us in October are 2 of our very first Harlem Speaks guests. And they are Melba Joyce will be there, and also Larry Ridley in the Jazz Heritage Ensemble. Friday nights we continue downtown at the Rubin Museum with our concert series down there, Harlem in the Himalayas. And I'd like to invite you tomorrow night. We have one of our events down there featuring clarinetist Ken Poplowski. We're also continuing with our youth orchestra funded by the Children's Aid Society and the Ella Fitzgerald Foundation. So anyway, this is just a long way of saying that things are really, really moving for us, and we're very happy that you're here to share it. I'd like to introduce also in the audience my co-producer of this series and one of our main folks with the museum. That's Mr. Greg Thomas. And we also have with us one of our very first Harlem Speaks honorees, who's a key member of our educational outreach program, and that's the legendary Taja. Well, tonight is really a red letter event for us, because tonight really defines in a way what the Jazz Museum in Harlem is all about. And let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that most of the other jazz organizations around the world, around the country, frankly, when you look at their rosters, can you turn the air conditioner over? Actually, it's getting warm over here again. When you look at the rosters of who they celebrate, you want to know something? They wind up celebrating the same handful of people. And Lord knows that, every jazz musician deserves credit, but they wind up celebrating the famous and the well-known, and these folks who over and over again get another award, another appearance. We have been dedicated. When you look around the room and you see all these photos, every photo on the wall, these kind of photos, these wonderful montages that Wilhelmina does, represents an evening here where we celebrated someone's life and career. And the great majority of folk, I would say, are unique in the terms of we're capturing life stories and folks whose stories have not been told in that many other places. So it's nights like tonight that really make what we're doing at the Jazz Museum in Harlem, I think, ultimately so valuable. And we're honored tonight to have a gentleman. I want to tell you the first time I played with this guy and just transpose my experience times the hundreds and thousands of musicians that this man has played with over the years. I came toward more recently. Christian McBride and I and Greg, we were doing a program at the Frederick Douglass Academy, and we were giving a graduation ceremony for students who had been in our educational program. So Christian plays the bass, I play the saxophone. So we're playing, and we're playing Flying Home or something like that. We're playing, and there was a drum set there because there was a youth band that played, so there was a drum set because these kids were playing. So Christian and I over here, we're playing Flying Home, and we're just looking at each other, playing away saxophone and bass, and all of a sudden, without missing a beat, this drum beat comes in. And I didn't even, we didn't have to even look over and see who it was or what it was because of the way it felt. And the way it felt was what, musicians like me are always like dreaming about, like what it must have felt like, maybe to play with a band at the Savoy Ballroom or something like that kind of, because if you could make those people happy, right, then you could make anybody happy, you know what I mean? That was the absolute zenith. And we looked over and Lester had gone up and sat down with his drum set. But the funny thing was without even like, doing a drum, it was just like, right, Greg, you were there. Well, it was just one of the great moments. We Chris and I just laugh about it to this day. So how could that happen? So I just imagine all the times those things. But you know what? I'm doing one of the great sins of an interviewer right now. I'm talking a lot with the subject right here. So let me stop talking about it. And let's welcome Mr. Lester Jenkins. I asked Mr. Jenkins if he would join me up at the chairs. He said he was more comfortable at the drum set, which I certainly understand. So I just don't want you to think this is some kind of odd situation which I'm not offering him a seat.
Yes.
But Mr. Jenkins, welcome.
Very happy to be here.
We're very, very, very happy to have you here.
It's always a strange time when you come here. And I always enjoy myself when I come to music or jazz.
Thanks. I guess I'd just like to start by asking you some basic questions, which is where and when were you born?
Here in Manhattan.
Do you mind sharing the birthday with us? Or at least the day and month, if you want to give us the year?
Well, what you ready for me? You're looking.
I don't mean to pry. No, but this guy. Well,
1929. During the swinging time period.
Where were you raised here? Where did your family live?
Raised right here in Harlem. And there was time that was kind of tight. They were pretty tight.
It was the Depression, right?
And the stock market was involved. And the Depression was a scuffling time.
Sure.
But things worked out well. Worked out very well.
Lester, how did drums come into your life?
Well, drums came in. My brother, he played drums. And what happened, he used to practice, and when he get finished, he told me to take down the drums, pack them up. So he goes out, and while he's out, I practice. So that is the main way I got started involved in the drums.
What was your brother's name?
My brother, his name was Doc Coles. We also called him Henry, but he was known for Doc Coles.
Dark clothes?
C-O-Z.
Or dark coat? And you had, was it 5 other brothers, or?
I had 5 brothers altogether. There's 3 of us that is on the same left. And we had a pretty good time when we was together. Yes.
Can you tell us something about your parents?
Well, my parents, originally, mother from Virginia, father from North Carolina. My mother, which my brother can verify this, when we did something wrong, my mother come down on my